Good evening, I'm William Pace. Thanks so much for tuning us in tonight. You know, we're in the midst of the political season, and next week we have primary elections here in Dayton, in Montgomery County. And I'm mindful of the opera Premonition. There's a line towards the end of the opera that talks about there's need for some good leadership in our neighborhood to lead us in the righteous way before it's too late. And my guest today is Norman Scearce, and he's here, he's running for County Commissioner for Montgomery County. Thanks so much for being on the program tonight.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Well, one of the things that I really like about your background is that you're a native Daytonian.
I am.
Yay.
I am.
And you are been in Montgomery County all your life.
Yes. Yes.
So you know all the nooks and crannies of the city and the county.
I do.
Wonderful. So you grew up here in the land. So that's an important sign, because so many people who run for office, they don't know the land.
Yeah.
You see, they're from another place, and they don't know the history of the land.
Absolutely.
You see, you know, they don't know that Montgomery County, you know, used to be a very, very, you know, prosperous county. They don't know that the city of Dayton used to be the gem city.
Oh, yes.
And they don't know that we used to hop the bus and go downtown to downtown Dayton Day. We didn't have to go to the Fairfield Mall or wherever. It was going on down in the heart of the city, heart of the county, and right down in Dayton. So it's real important, I think, for Dayton, because Dayton is the heart of the county.
It is.
And if the heart is not functioning right, then it throws off things in all parts of the county.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So what is the first thing that you would do to fix the heart of the county?
I think most importantly, before you get to policy, before you get to legislation or anything like that, it's about relationship. I think having good, honest, and open communication with city leaders, not just in Dayton, but abroad and around Dayton, having those open lines of communication with city leadership, the mayor, the city council, and county commissioners is crucial to the success of the county as a whole, and whatever strength the county can give to the city. And right now that does not happen. Yeah.
Also, another thing I wanted to point out about your background is that you're currently serving on the board of education for Trotwood.
I am.
So you're and of course, we have many issues in Dayton with the board of education, and also that you went to the University of Cincinnati.
I did.
And that you came out with a degree in communications.
So I didn't come out of UC with a degree.
Okay.
I didn't get my degree until I went to Liberty University.
Okay.
And at that time, I graduated with a degree in psychology. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. So you have a background in communications and psychology.
Correct, yes.
Which is really important, I would think, good, because you have to know the psychology of people.
You absolutely do.
And why they do what they do, and why they feel the way they do. And so basically, I understand too, that you are also a minister too?
I am. I pastor the Gateway Cathedral in Trotwood, Ohio. This year we turned 10 years old.
Wow.
We are located in the heart of Trotwood, right on Salem Avenue and Olive Road.
Okay.
And we are really excited
it's
about
a big, beautiful church there.
Yes.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
I've been in that church before.
It is beautiful. We found it about 6 years ago. It was left for dead, really, and the previous church had abandoned it. And we've come along and put life back in it and life back into that community.
Wonderful, wonderful. And speaking of life in the community, Trotwood was one of the hardest hit areas of Montgomery County. And how is the Trotwood doing now?
Trotwood is rebuilding. Trotwood is resilient.
Okay.
And there's a lot of talk around the county that, you know, people are leaving, people are moving. It's not the case.
Okay.
There are people rebuilding in my neighborhood alone. because I live in that neighborhood right behind the church that was really hard hit. And people are rebuilding their homes, they're coming back. A vast majority of the families that were displaced are back in their homes now.
Okay.
And property values are up. It's like a brand new community, and Trotwood's going to be just fine. Trotwood's going to be fine.
And speaking on, while we're on the subject of Trotwood, one of the things that, because I remember, I may be dating myself when I talk about the Salem Mall, but I remember that was a destination.
Yeah.
You know, and the beautiful, the fountain, remember that?
I do.
And people threw the pennies in the fountain and made a wish, you know. And it was one of only a few malls in America that had the big palm tree there. So what would you do to restore that life back to the Trotwood? Because what I hear from many people is that who remember the way Trotwood used to be, they want it back.
Yeah.
They want it back.
Yeah.
They don't want to have to, the people on that part of in that part of the county, they don't enjoy having to jump on the connector and go out to Centerville or the Fairfield Mall or wherever.
Austin Landing.
All those places. And there's a lot of people that live in that part of the county.
Absolutely.
So what would be your vision to create the excitement, the life, the energy that used to be there?
So I think the first thing that we have to accept and understand is that the city has changed. And I know it's really, really difficult, but even as a resident of Trotwood, we have to come to grips with the term that it will never be what we remember. And that's okay, you know, because we aren't what we were 20 years ago or 30 years ago. I think first off is accepting the fact that it will never be that, and then accepting whatever the new identity is and have the community rally around that. From a county's perspective, it's all about relationship. Speak to city leaders, find out where the gaps are and how as a county we can help undergird that. Because if you look at it now, places like Trotwood, and if the Dayton Mall isn't careful, it's going right in the same direction of the Salem Mall. But if we don't have county leaders and leadership in position to leverage the seats of their power to be influential where it matters, then you're just a placeholder. And so when we talk about vision, especially in areas like the Northwest Corridor, places like Trotwood and Clayton like that, it's about leveraging the influence of the seat to bring industry, to bring retail. There is a reason why the elected official has the power of the purse. And we have to, we have to recognize that. Yeah.
There's more to come on the William K. Show. Stay with us.
You'll have the time of your life. I saw a man, he danced with his wife.
Hi, I'm William Pace. Thanks so much for tuning us in tonight. My guest is Norman Scearce. He's running for Montgomery County Commission. Thanks so much for being on the show. And we were talking before we went to break about the importance of the people who are in office to work on behalf of the people to get the resources into the county that the people so need. I have often thought that when you run for office, it is a call.
Sure, absolutely.
From a higher power. And the call is to serve the people.
Absolutely.
You don't run for office to use it as a platform for another office down the line. If you should be so lucky, or fortunate that people see your good work in office and recommend you for another office, that's great. But your primary goal is to serve the people.
Absolutely.
And help them to have the best quality of life in this county.
Absolutely.
And so I think it's real important that we do go outside of the county. Like there are all kinds of companies across America that are looking for maybe another place to have a branch, you see?
Absolutely.
And maybe there's some land here.
There is. Not to cut you off, I'm sorry. Montgomery County is a vast place that has all types of positive resources that if the elected officials aren't selling it, then who's selling it?
And that is a very important point, because things don't sell themselves. You have to get out and sell them.
Absolutely.
You know? And you have to start a dialogue and a conversation with people. I don't know, it may be out in Idaho or Wichita, Kansas, and say, you know, I see that you have this company out there, and we've been following it from Dayton, Ohio, Montgomery County, and we think that you might be able to be successful here.
Absolutely.
And could we start a dialogue
Absolutely.
or an exploratory conversation about this possibility?
Absolutely.
It's cultivating, it's sowing seeds. You know, sowing the seeds in the land, and you nurture those seeds, the sowings, and you cultivate them and you build. So we need to build new opportunities in Montgomery County for people. One of my big concerns is that in the vacant structures, not very good, you know, to have that many vacant structures, and more, what's not good is the vacant lots that have come with that. What would you do to take those vacant structures and make them show places?
Well, I think it depends. It depends on the area that you're talking about. If you think of areas that I consider prestige areas, areas of prestige like West Dayton, West Dayton View Triangle, where those areas, where those homes are vacant and dilapidated, that were once jewels of this city.
They really are.
A lot of that is about investing dollars from a county's perspective to spur development, right? We know government doesn't do business well. Every time government tries to get into the habit of doing business, we fail miserably. But our goal is to begin the dialogue, start the conversations, build the relationships with those who do the business, and then remove the stumbling blocks from their way so they can help spur development in those respective communities. But in terms of things like all of the vacant properties, you do have to really determine what's valuable and what isn't. Dayton had a wonderful program called the Lot Links program that they have now since discontinued. But the issue with a system like that was it took so long for ownership, and then people who didn't necessarily live within Dayton's borders could take advantage of that system, putting citizens kind of off by the wayside. From a county's perspective, you can create the same type of program, make sure citizens get whatever properties available to them first because they are citizens, putting Montgomery County first, and then open that up to outside developers. But from a county's perspective, remove the bureaucracy, remove most of the stumbling blocks and hindrances that makes the process so slothful. So we can get these properties back on tax record, so we can get them back habitable again, and get the vacant lots and things like that cleaned up.
You hit on a very interesting point. The people, I will always think that the people in the land are the biggest believers of the land, and have the biggest investment in the land. I see so many outside organizations that own properties here, and they're hard to locate many times.
Oh my God,
You know, I had a situation in my own home where the wall, retaining wall, collapsed and fell in the driveway on this that belonged to the man next door, and he could not be found. They had to serve him in California, all of that. So it's really important, I think, to have local ownership by the people who live in the land.
Sure. And if they're not, if you're going to be the elected official running these departments, you have to do the hard work, which is usually the uncomfortable work and the unfavorable work of saying you're going to be responsible for this property. If it's old, if it's dilapidated, we're going to seek you out. We're going to find you and hold you accountable for for the property that's bringing down other property values around it.
It really is, because I live in the Mount Vernon neighborhood, which is one of the most beautiful neighborhoods.
It
You know,
is.
it used to be the Colonel White, you
Oh,
know,
yes. Oh,
and
yes.
they don't make houses
not.
like that
do
anymore.
not.
The architecture, the structure of the homes, the layout, you know, it's just, you know, the workmanship that went into those houses are just, you know, they don't make houses like that anymore. And so we really need to protect those homes.
Sure.
And so do you think that maybe, for example, in that neighborhood, that should be a historic neighborhood? And would that help to preserve those homes?
I think it would definitely help. Something like that, you definitely want to get the input of the citizens, because those things like that do come with particular restrictions when you talk about making things historical, what type of updates and upgrades you can make. But that's more of a state issue who would, you know, administer things like historical statuses and things like that. But just doing what government can do around those areas, like improving the infrastructure, making sure the roads are paved. If the city of Dayton doesn't have the necessary wherewithal to pave those roads in what we consider our premier communities, it is the responsibility of the county to help them pick up the slack. It is their responsibility, but if you don't have a working relationship with those elected officials, it's very hard to get anything done. And if we have elected officials at the highest part of our county not speaking to mayors and not speaking to city councilmen, we suffer as individuals.
We all have to be on the same page.
You don't have to agree.
Right, but at least be in the same
Absolutely.
page.
Absolutely.
You know, to work together, because all of the working not together is a waste of time.
I am the only Republican on a school board full of Democrats, and we work well together because it's not about us individually and what we believe, it's about what's best for children. And if you can find the commonality even amongst your differences, you can work to great extents to make things well for people. But if we get sidetracked by partisanship and you're a Republican and I'm a Democrat, you know, nobody gets anything done.
No,
Nobody
it's
gets
just a
anything
lot
done.
of blah, 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 and nothing's happening. There's more to come on the William Pace Show. Stay with us.
They do things that they don't do on Broadway.
Hello, I'm William Pace. Thanks so much for tuning us in. My guest is Norman Scearce. He's running for county commissioner. Thanks so much for being on the program tonight. I want to give you the opportunity to share your vision for Montgomery County.
My vision is simple: fairness, equality, and equity. If you look at our county right now, it's very disproportionate in terms of success. If you look at areas that aren't as affluent, your West Dayton, your Trotwood, your Riverside, your Jefferson Township, these areas have not seen the same type of investment from our county as places like Vandalia or Huber Heights or Clayton or Miamisburg or Centerville. And these individuals deserve the same opportunities.
Oh, you bet.
As the ones in the more affluent communities. And for the past 25, 30 years or so, there has been, in my account, deliberate disinvestment in these areas, whether or not they understand the value of these particular communities and what they have to bring to the table or not. There has been no investment in these particular communities. And this is not a Democrat or Republican thing. You just haven't put your money where your mouth is.
One of the things that I really feel that's important, if you want people to live in your county, all the citizens, if you want those people to live in your county, all the citizens have to have the same amenities.
They have to.
They can't have, you know, a food desert going down.
Absolutely.
They can't, you know, they shouldn't have to drive out of the county into another county to get, you know, so you want to make sure that you have a full, robust economy throughout the county, so that all your citizens.
You know, one of our, and you're absolutely right. All of our citizens deserve the same access. We deserve the same opportunities as everybody else. One of the incumbents said, you know, in addressing the food desert in our area, you know, your vision for addressing that is to offer more food stamps. Well, don't insult us in our ability, because you wouldn't say something like that in other communities. You know, that doesn't address the problem. Right now, the county's budget is almost $1 billion. $450 million of that budget is social services. So there is a different underlining issue in Montgomery County that isn't being addressed right now. Things like mental health, where the county is not taking that seriously. You can't continue to criminalize mental health and throwing people with mental health disorders in prison, because that makes the prisons overrun, makes the staff overworked. And those are areas where there needs to be some major county investment.
And it's not good for the people who are put into prison or jail, because they're not getting the help.
They are not getting the help that they need.
You know. So that is, it's critical. But if you want people to live in your county, they have to have these amenities, they have to have these services, or they will move to another county.
You know, and my thing is not even so much the amenities, just the basic necessities.
Yeah.
You know,
that's
just
more
the
accurately said.
Just the basic necessities of life.
Yes.
You know, a bank, a grocery store, and a hospital.
Right.
You know, and we have communities all over Montgomery County that don't see the bare necessities. And if, as a county commissioner, our current county commissioners, if you aren't using your platform and your influence to sell these areas in terms of people who have what they need, I think maybe you've overstayed your welcome.
I would concur. And one of the things I think about a lot is, how can you just take the politics out of politics and just get back to serving the people?
Well, you can't understand people until you get proximate with them. And if you talk about getting the politics out of it, it's going to communities and understanding the plight of that community. That's how you get the politics out of it. You get your hands dirty. You get down and you get some sweat equity and find out what is really important to the people that you are called to serve.
And I think it all gets back to servant leadership.
Yeah.
Because it gets back to being the voice of the people. You know, that's real important, the voice of the people. It isn't, you're not going into office to further your political aspirations. It's a call.
It is.
To serve the people. And if you're good at it, if you really have done an excellent job at serving the people, then maybe you might be recognized for another office. But the important thing is to come in with a servant leadership.
Absolutely.
It's real important. In our remaining few minutes, I want to give the viewers an opportunity to get in contact with you and tell us how we can contact you.
Sure. You can go to my website, which is www.normanjscarce.com. You can sign up to volunteer there. You can you can donate there. We are really needing as many people to come to the polls between now.
Oh, that's critical.
And next Tuesday, which is our primary election date. And a lot of people don't realize how primaries work. So if I can take a couple seconds.
Surely, go for it.
I am a conservative. I am a Republican here in Montgomery County. So in order to vote for me in the upcoming primary, you have to go to your poll worker and ask for a Republican ballot. It's just that simple.
Okay.
You can vote for whoever you want to in the general election, which is in November. But if we're going to challenge our current incumbents with different ideas and concepts, I'd have to win the primary to do that.
So this is critical.
Yes, absolutely.
Say that again, because sometimes people don't go out and vote in the primary.
That's true.
So let's repeat that again. So it's critical that if you want change in Montgomery County, and you want to see new things happening in Montgomery County, this is your opportunity to go out on Tuesday, March 17th,
March 17th.
And vote. And if you would like to volunteer or help in any way, you can go to the website and you'll find various opportunities where you could play a part in changing things in Montgomery County. And lastly, I want to thank you for being on the program.
My pleasure.
I've enjoyed this. You
My
must
pleasure.
come back.
I would be honored.
Come
I'd be
back.
honored.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yep.
There's more to come on the William Pace Show. Stay with us.
They do things that they don't do on Broadway.
Thanks so much for tuning us in tonight. The inspiration segment on the show is on voting. Voting sends a message to politicians that changes they are making and the laws they are passing have the approval of the people. President Lyndon B. Johnson once stated, "The vote is the most powerful instrument ever devised by man for breaking down injustice and destroying the terrible walls which imprison men because they are different from other men." This truism is important for the anti-poverty activists to remember as they enter their polling places in the upcoming elections. What is the power of one vote? It is important to vote because many candidates for political offices are voted in by only 1 or 2 votes. The same goes for the important issues that are passed into law. The people who are most likely to be affected by changes in legislation or political power are the poor, minorities, and the disenfranchised. Yet they are the least likely to vote. We have to change that. The Supreme Court has taken steps to ensure that voter ID laws do not institutionally discriminate against groups of people. The right to vote is not dependent on whether the voter is more or less likely to be impacted by the results. John Quincy Adams sums up the reason why anti-poverty activists and other people wishing to make lasting changes for the better need to go out and vote when he said, "Always vote for principle, though you may vote alone, and you may cherish the sweetest reflection that your vote is never lost." Voting is a powerful tool that can be used to make positive changes to social policy, and voting is one of the most effective ways to make lasting and beneficial changes to social policy. Why is it important to vote? It is crucial for the anti-poverty activists and others who want to make lasting and beneficial changes to social policy to get out and vote. Franklin D. Roosevelt expresses the power of voting and the answer to the question, why is it important to vote? When he said, "Nobody, no one will ever deprive the American people of the right to vote except the American people themselves. And the only way they could do this is by not voting." I'm William Pace. Thanks so much for watching us tonight. Remember, you can watch The William Pace Show 24/7 on YouTube by going to William Pace Show YouTube. And every Monday at 5:30 and Friday at 7:30 p.m. on Spectrum 991. I gotta go. I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.